Back by popular demand, we are going to start the Shrek series after my Shrek 20th anniversary review did so well for my channel. So is Shrek 2 just as good or better than the original, or is it as good as I remembered from my childhood? If you're interested, let's hop on over to the review. Welcome back, film fans. This is Let's Be Real with Brad. Today, we will be talking about what people consider one of the best animated sequels of all time, 2004's Shrek 2. Before diving into this review, I want to say that this is the very first time that I have watched this movie with my movie reviewing eyes as an adult. I was always so scared and nervous to go back to this movie, not wanting to have this childhood favorite of mine ruined. First, we're going to talk about the animation. This movie still looks so unique and beautiful to this day, and definitely better than the first one. The character design improves drastically by having all the main characters from the first film look fully remastered. The character design of Puss in Boots is also fantastic and the best of the movie. What this movie also excels at is its fantastic writing. It isn't as good as the original, which I will get into later in this review, but it can still provide the incredible wit and charm this movie can have from the original. At times, this movie can even be more hilarious with having less adult humor, but having clever, extreme, and really well-written jokes that blew me away while watching this again. The film explores important and essential themes to anyone about masking your identity and trying to be someone you're not in such a masterful way that speaks deeper than most animated films do. Just like the first film did, they are still able to change the classic fairy tale story again by making the fairy godmother the main villain of the film, as she does every horrible and sneaky thing possible to make sure she has it her way, which is a massive change to the original fairy tales, which I never really appreciated as a kid. This movie also features a lot of product placement that would be annoying in almost any other film. But the filmmakers decided to make tremendous and clever jokes by trying to emulate Hollywood and how the rich people live in their everyday lives. It involves one great joke at the end involving Starbucks that has held up beautifully 17 years later. But by far the best joke of the film is the cops in the TV scene. It is simply perfect. I also find the story excellent, having a similar feel to Guess Who's Coming Home to Dinner, which was a big inspiration. The story can expand from the first film and offer much more to this fairy tale world. I genuinely think this is the best story they could come up with, as it is much more complicated, giving us great character moments, but it is also a much different story, making the sequel feel just as important as the original. I enjoyed all the twists and turns along the way that was quite surprising and a bit experimental as to take these characters. I also think the voice acting is still exceptional and just on par with the first film, with Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, and Eddie Murphy returning in the leading roles of these beloved characters. This film also introduces Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother and Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. They are so damn good, as they are iconic to this movie and the franchise as a whole. Antonio Banderas provides so much range, as he always does, but he's able to play this tough and singing cute cat, which is just so unbelievable with his range. Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother will always sit in my memory as someone who can dominate a screen with their voice, as her voice makes you want to make sure she never wins. The soundtrack is also a massive banger, with having just as many hits as the first film, including one of the best cover songs of all time with Holding Out a Hero by Jennifer Saunders. In my opinion, I think it is equally on par with Smash Mouth's All-Star, as this song blasts through the climax, exhilarating the action and excitement to heights cinema has never reached before. I do think the soundtrack from the first film was used a bit more thematically than this one, but this amazing soundtrack is still great nonetheless. Unfortunately, this movie does have a few negatives, with the first major one being that how the second act ends is almost identical to the original film. I still think elements of this are outstanding and it is a bit different, but as a whole, I think it is way too similar in its story structure that didn't make a lot of sense if you dive deep into it. The last negative is the lack of adult humor. This movie is still so damn hilarious, but I did feel like I wasn't laughing as much as it lacked that edge that I wanted more of in this movie. Overall, this is a fantastic animated comedy sequel that did everything right by expanding the universe, story, and characters by capturing that charm, fun, and humor from the original without sacrificing any of the good elements from that movie. This movie is so damn fast, with always leaving families entertained to the absolute max. It may not be better than the first film, but it is still a remarkable film that if you somehow haven't seen this film, you gotta watch this as soon as possible. I am giving Shrek 2 an 8 out of 10. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a like if you want, and ring that notification bell so I can see you in the next one.